Welcome back to MGD 111. We're continuing to look at advanced selection tools here. So we have our red cup photo, we have it selected. Whatever selection process you've used so far, that's great. We just want to make sure that this thing is outlined already. We're going to look at some quick mask options here that might help you out. Now, we noticed down here that there's the quick mask button. There's also under select, it says edit in quick mask mode. Same thing here. Whenever you click on that, it gives you this red mask. That's kind of interesting because we have a red cup and a red mask, and it's kind of hard to tell what's what here. Well, luckily we have kind of a cool option here. If we go to this icon in our toolbar and double click on it, it brings up some options. And some of these are very important. One is having the color indicate what is masked or what is selected. If I select the selected areas there instead of masked areas and go out of that, go back into mode, you'll notice it now selects the selected part. Let me double click that again and go back to the masked area, click it, re-enter the mode. Now it's selecting this area. It kind of comes down to a preference of which would you rather have. Do you want to see the thing that you're trying to isolate covered in the mask, or everything but that covered in the mask? I usually go with this particular option. But in any event, we have a red cup and a red mask, and this is kind of hard to see. So let's double click this again. We can actually choose a different color for our mask if we want to. So I'm going to choose green and click OK. And again, I don't know why it takes you out of quick mask mode when it does that, but I click on it again. Oh good, now I can clearly see my mask from the rest of it. The reason that the mask is red, by the way, I think I mentioned this before, but it comes down to pre-computer era production techniques, and this goes back to probably the 40s or 50s, but we used to overlay this red film over the picture and with our X-Acto knives cut out the part that we didn't want. That was our selection tool back then, and you'd peel the red part off the plastic that you didn't want, and you were left with this red mask. So that's why it goes to that color, but sometimes just for your own preference you might want to use something else. Once we have our mask selected, of course, we can use various options to add to or delete from our mask. If I were to use, say, if I want to get rid of these eyeballs here, you would think I could use the paint bucket tool to paint there. Hey, wait a minute, it picked up the whole thing. Yeah, it works a little bit differently when we're in mask mode here. The paint bucket will fill our selection within a selection. Huh? What does that mean? Well, let's take our magic wand tool. I'm going to quickly isolate one of these eyeballs here. By the way, this plastic cup was left next to a grill and it burned into that shape, and we added the face to it. So there we go. Now if I use the magic wand tool, or the paint bucket tool, and pour it in, you'll see that that is now part of the outside mask here. So what happens here? Well, when we leave that mask, quick mask, and go back to our regular image, you can see that that is now isolated from the rest of the picture. So if I were to apply some sort of setting or adjustment, it would only affect this red cup, but not that particular area. So we can go into our mask and modify it. It's kind of the same thing as using the lasso tool regularly, but sometimes it gives us maybe a clearer view of what we're working with. We'll study this in a little bit greater detail later on, but I think you get the sense of what we're working with here. So let's save that, and we will move on to some additional options.